Hi, Mark here. Trust you're well. Welcome to this live Lightroom short that was recorded on Wednesday, the 5th of February 2024, where we discussed and I suggested some ideas of how to organize your images within Lightroom Classic. Now, please remember, there's no right or wrong way to do anything in life. It's the way that you want to do something. Now, if this recording is of interest to you and you'd like to come and join us live, just to visit lightroommark.com/eventbrite and you'll see my live events. Now, without any further ado, let's jump across to Lightroom Classic and the recording. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Very well.
Yeah, all good. So in tonight's micro-learning session, we're going to look at organizing our catalog, if you want to say, our images, and how we can work more effectively or efficiently, and it's not me telling you what to do. There's no right or wrong way. The regulars will know I say this all the time. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's your way to do it. So tonight is about this 30 minutes micro learning sessions is about stimulating ideas for you of how to organize and find your images. So my philosophy, methodology is about what things in life do I know? So I know when I go to work on a Monday morning at 9 o'clock and I finish on a Monday night at 5 o'clock and I go to work on a Tuesday and so on. And that's a part of my life. You have lunch, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. When you go on holiday or when your birthdays are or anniversary, these are all things that, you might go on holiday the same type of time each year. Unless you're doing something specific. But these are things that you are accustomed to in your life. The point being, you don't have to retrain yourself or rethink about how to organize your catalog, how to organize your images. And one of my philosophies is to think about where you're going to and how to get there. So we all know Monday to Friday is a generic working week. We all know that most people work 9 to 5. There are exceptions, yes. So we are accustomed to a date and time system. We're also accustomed to when our anniversaries are and also narratives. So most photographers will photograph narratives, which are different to stories. A narrative, whether that's wildlife, whether that's sports, whether that's journalism, they're all narratives. They're not stories. And within narratives, how do we organize our images? So I'm going to show you some different ideas and how I organize my main catalog and my training catalog. So, and if anybody's got any questions, just ask away. So this is my training catalog. I've got in here 1,750 images. Some of them are just raw images of mine. Some of them are stock images that I have a license to use. So with an image, what is an image? It's a story, it's a description at a moment in time. So let's have a look, see what we've got. So we've got this steam engine here that's coming along. It's not edited or anything. So I press N for survey mode. And you can see the steam engine coming towards me. So this picture is a story. I'm just going to hit auto in my develop panel. Sorry, in my quick develop panel, so we can see the images a bit better. Select all, deselect G. There they are. Just going to hit auto on those and press Enter. So these are a moment in time. It's a story of a moment in time as the steam locomotive comes towards me on this track, and it's virtually at me now. So it's telling me a story. Now, from the image, I can see from the smoke, it's actually under power going uphill because the smoke, the steam coming out of the steam engine is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it gets to me, there's less steam. So that's the story of the sequence of images. But how do I organize my images? So this image was taken at a moment in time. So there we go. This was taken on the 28th of December 2008 at 21 minutes past 3. The next image was taken at 16 seconds later. And there's 17 seconds, 18 seconds, 22 seconds, 27 seconds. So they're all moments in time. We are accustomed to moments in time. We're accustomed what were you doing at 9 o'clock at this time on Monday morning at that moment. So by organizing our images in the folder structure by date and time, we do not have to relearn that structure, that system, because we can think about where was I on Monday? Where was I on that birthday? Where was I when I went to Italy in 2003? Oh, I know it was in July. And we can just drill down into the date. So, what is the folder panel? The folder panel, which is here on the left-hand side, is where we store our files. And it's a mirror image to the operating system. So if I go right-click and show in Finder, there we go. We've got the word images. And if I show in Classic, there's the word images. And we have all the years. Okay. So we've got 2007 to 2025. It's a mirror image. So it's the same as the operating system. Everything that we want to do to our images, we should do in Classic. So if I click on 2007, these are all the images I took in 2007. I can find those images several different ways. Okay. So I can find them with the library bar or library filter bar across the top. I can find them by text. So I can select on the drop down any searchable field contains anything I want. So just type Minehead and they will all come up. But I can search on EXIF data. So we can sit there and go, okay, so when were they taken? So they were taken in August. I can select the date. Classic is looking in this folder and it's the date. There's the images. What type of file are they? That's a DNG, that's a TIFF file. But I could say, what camera did I take with them? Okay, so D2X. What lens did I use? What aperture did I use? Okay, what focal length, what shutter speed, what ISO? And I can look for those images. So if you're a wildlife photographer, you know you are going to shoot with this lens, you could search for that quite easily by just using a drop down. But I'm looking at the file in these locations. Okay, and as I change the location, the narrative will change. Okay, so that's one way of organizing your images in date and time. That is my preferred way of organizing my images. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's a preferred way. Now, we could organize them in our folder structure by narrative. And to give you a scenario, you could put all your travel images together. You could put all your family images together in a folder structure. But the problem with that, as far as I'm concerned, is you put all your Italy images in there, or all your Paris images, or all your New York images. You've got them grouped together by narrative. So you can't really, if you use a folder structure and narrative, organize them in the folder structure in a micro way. Okay, so you might have 1,000 images here of pictures of Italy. Or if I click here, yeah, these are all mixed, okay, because they're dates, okay? But I search for looking for those images. So I would search in here, Minehead, there's all the images that I took in Minehead. One click. But we can automate it. And I'll come on to collections and automation in a second. So by storing your images, which is what the folder structure is, by narrative, you're grouping all different times by that narrative, which is fine. No, there's no problem with that at all until you come to finding images. So one thing that some people here may know, the folder panel is only available in the library module. So if I go to the develop module, I've got no folder panel. So it's very difficult to find associated images with this picture. Yes, we do have the film strip at the bottom, okay, which looks at that one folder. Okay, oops, just get rid of that. Okay, but what we, in my opinion, what we should be doing is using collections. Reason why we use collections is we can micromanage and automate how we want to store images by date, by location, by time, by narrative, by camera, by workflow, and it goes across all modules. So if we look on the left-hand side, we've got the collection panel in library. If I click on develop, we have the collection panel here. And then if I go to, let's just say the print module, and we have all the collections here. So unlike the folder location, it's only in the library module. Collections, we can do whatever we want to and ask classic questions. That's the way I describe it, ask classic questions. So we can create a inquiry, a question. So I'm going to create a smart collection and say, show me all the pictures that I took in a time frame. So show me all the pictures. So date is 2023. Okay. So now I'm going to ask it, date, capture date is a range. And the range is 2023, the 1st of the 1st, so the 1st of January 2023. And this is just one example. We'll look at other ones in a second. Until the 31st of December. So I've created this smart collection and it's immediately looked in the whole of my catalogue and brought back to me 208 images that were taken in that date range. Okay. But I can now use the filter bar in different ways to refine that look. So that could be attributes. So have I picked them? Have I done a virtual copy? Are they videos? Are they color labeled? So have I got any red color labels? No, I haven't. Have I picked any? No, I haven't. And this is a part of your workflow. You're adding additional filters to organizing your images. Okay, so we could take metadata and we could say, look in this location of the query that I've had, which is pictures taken in 2023, and we could drill down to further into dates. So here's all my dates. So you know that I wanted to have a look at pictures of a party that I went to or something, and it was on the 17th of July. I've just drilled in there. What camera did I use? I used the Nikon Z5 in that case. What f-stop did I shoot? This is f4. Okay, or did I shoot at 6.3 or did I shoot at f8? Did I shoot at f14? Or multiple. So 6.3 and f14. I've hold the command key down and select the additional field. So by using collections and using specifically smart collections, it looks at the location. So that could be folder structure. It could be looking at the whole catalog. It could be looking at a particular place in the catalog. It could be looking at a geographic location. So we can add more queries, more questions. So we come down, location. That is geographic location. Okay, so we've got country, region, state, geography. And if your camera's got GPS, it will look that information up. Okay, source. Source is where is it within your computer? So you can say, look in a folder, look on in a collection, look in a published services, and say, just look in that one place. So using collections, smart collections, you're asking a question, a query, you're making an inquiry. Now, this is the answer to the query. Okay, you can't adjust the answer, you can only adjust the query, the question. So what we might want to do is say, right, okay, we found this information. I now want to have a look at these images in more finer detail. So date 2023, and I know this is Bristol. So I'm just going to create a standard collection. Okay. And what I do is I just select the images that I want and I drag them to this new collection. Now, because this is a standard collection, I can sync this into the cloud to other devices. I can share these with other people if I so wish, because they're leaving Classic. It's a smart preview. It does not count towards your storage. So you could put your whole catalog in the cloud without paying any additional fee. Okay, I can refine this view by asking more questions. Okay, people can look at this on the web and send me a comment. We have a comment section down here. They can have a free Adobe account. They can see these images. You can share them privately with them. They have to log in with their username and password, and they get to see the images and they can leave a comment out. I love this picture, Mark. Please, could I see it in black and white, or could I have a print of it, or whatever? They can favorite it. They can put a heart on it. I love this, and so on. So using collections to bring together images, narratives, or projects, or using smart collections to find images that we may have lost. Where have they gone? Okay. Using IPTC data. So if we're going to the metadata field, we've got IPTC. That's all the data that we give the image. So my details, headline, description, okay, title. I'm giving it the information. If I change the view to EXIF, that is the data that the camera is giving me. So the file name, the pixel size, as in the how many pixels up and how many pixels down, the date and time it was captured, the shutter speed, the f-stop, the ISO, did the flash fire, what metering mode did I use? Okay, what camera I used, what serial number of the camera. If you've got GPS, that'll be here. Certain cameras have the functionality. You can put an audio file. The Nikon Z9, the R3, I believe, has you can press a button and record an audio file against a still image. That will be here. You can create a smart collection to say, show me all the pictures that I took at X this year that have an audio file attached to it. Not a movie, not a video, a still image. And you'd use that with the smart collection. So, as a recap, folders are where you keep your files. Okay? So these are the negatives you could want to say. Okay? Working out a workflow of how do I store them? And there is no right or wrong answer. My suggestion is we store them in date and time. Another reason why I suggest that is if you've got a duplicate file, you've re-imported it twice by mistake, or you've added to your collection again, the duplicate files will be next door to each other because you've put them in a date time structure, and the date and times will be the side. So you'll know if they're the raw file, the shutter actuation number, in this case is 619, and 618 is the one before. But if you had 618 twice, it may say -2. So you now know you've got a duplicate there. Okay, another reason you can't duplicate a moment in time. It's a nanosecond, a microsecond, or a second, or a minute later. So you can find your duplicates. How do I manage my files? Well, I always suggest that you keep your digital asset management on a external drive. So you keep all your pictures. In this case, this is a media drive. This is a SSD 4 TB media drive, and all these images are on that drive. Now, my work catalog, I've got a direct attached storage, 96 TB drive, and it's got all my images on there, several hundreds of thousands. Why do I do that? Well, if I change computer, I don't have to re-import all my images. They're on an external drive. That external drive has a backup policy and goes to the cloud, goes to my network attached storage. It's separate from my computer. If this computer goes down, the hard drive fails, and hard drives, I can guarantee you, will fail just when it fails. This drive, which has got a RAID 5 built into it, what RAID 5 is, it copies the drive across the other drives in the system. So if a drive fails, I plug in a new drive and it copies the data across. It's constantly managing itself. It's constantly working through the images. But if my computer drive fails, I can plug my laptop in and continue working in Classic. I've just got to install Classic, plug in my laptop, and I've got all my images. So my downtime is a lot lower. So I always suggest that you put all your pictures on an external drive. So when you upgrade, all you've got to do is move your catalog and then put those into a date date structure. So they go into the years, and then we organize them with keywords, with IPTC data, and then to find them, we use smart collections and collections. Because if I take this collection here, this is a negative search collection. No keywords. Keywords are empty. So this is in the whole of my catalog. There's no keywords on these images. It's a negative search. I've asked it a query. This is Minehead Beach. This is a standard collection. I can share these with people. But if I go to the book module, I can put these images into the book. Can't do that in the folder structure. So I come down to, oops, there we go. And I click on the collection, and I can now start dragging those images into the book module. So it allows me to do those projects that I want to do using different modules, sharing images, where you can't do that in the folder structure. Okay. Folders are for keeping your negatives in there. Collections are for managing, using, editing. And if you edit an image in a collection and go to a third-party application, for example, Photoshop or Nixsoft or Topaz or anything like that, and then when you save that image, it places it back in the collection. So all your work is all together. Okay, so a lot of times what I will do is I will have a collection that is a project that I'm doing. And I will have different types of edits. I'll have perhaps a black and white collection of images, let's say 12 images of a project. And let's see how they work black and white. Perhaps I might have a contrasty, saturated version of those images. I will have a collection of virtual copies images, and I will process them in a particular way. And I can identify and I can have them all together presented in the way that I want to see them, share them with my iPad or a web browser, or perhaps with a colleague. So I suggest that people use folders to store them, but your workflow is in collections and you ask classic queries, questions to find the information. And you'll be amazed if you start asking questions. Oh, I thought I lost that image. Use the smart collection and use dates. I thought I'd lost that image because you've misfiled it in the folder structure. So that birthday, that anniversary, that holiday, you can say, you can ask a query, show me all the pictures that I took from the 10th of March to the 20th of March 2022, because you went on holiday to Texas. And it doesn't matter where they are in Lightroom Classic. It brings them back and shows you. And you go, oh my God, those pictures that I can't find. There they are. Another reason why we put all our photographs, irrespective of what camera we use, whether it's a mobile phone, whether it's a crop sensor, and you've got full frame, you've got medium format, we put everything into one catalog. Everything's together, and then we organize keywords, attributes, collections. Okay. Another thing is only one catalog can be shared to the cloud at one time. So if you want to use your mobile phone to take a photograph, it will sync to the cloud, it will come down into Classic. But if you've got multiple catalogs, it's only one catalog that does that. I've got over 500,000 images in my work catalog, and I have no problems at all running Classic on a Apple Mac M1 chip, which is what, 4 years old. So that's my theory of organizing images within Classic. Has anyone got any questions? Has that helped? Mhm.
When you said keep all your images on an external hard drive,
Yeah. Yes, David.
if I then wanted to back up again onto another external hard drive,
Hmm.
how do I do it? How do I do it?
Okay, so PC or Mac?
Mac.
Mac. Okay, so there's the time backup where you can tell it to take this location and make a copy of it to this location. Okay, there are programs like GoodSync. Was it Carbon Copies? Another one. They're very, very cheap, and you can say, take this drive, copy it on this drive, and they're incremental backups. So it'll only copy the new data. So once it's done a full backup, you can actually ask it. I use GoodSync. I've used it for years and years and years. And the reason why it allows me to take stuff from this server to that server, from my network drive, I can program it. It's a WYSIWYG program. Take from here and put over here. Take from here and put over there. And those locations could be a cloud-based service or a local drive or a network drive or whatever. But the nice thing about it's incremental and you can put in a time. So, for example, my Drobo that's sitting here, which is now 13 years old, on the hour, every hour the machine is switched on, it will take an incremental backup and put onto my network drive. And it just constantly does that. So if I make a mistake, I've got an hour to reclaim it. But also my Drobo, because it's a direct attached storage, goes up to Backblaze. So I've got everything in the cloud. So I would suggest using Time Machine for your Mac or look at GoodSync or Carbon Copy. There are other ones out there that you can program to copy the data and sync it.
Okay, perfect.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So um, another reason why I say keep all your images on an external drive. Yes, when you upgrade, you just got to unplug the drive, put the drive in, you've got all the images on there. But for, let's say you're going on holiday, you can take that drive away and put it somewhere really safe. Or if your house, God forbid, we don't want this to happen, but there's a fire or a flood or anything like that, you can just literally rip that one drive out, take it with you, and all your memories for your whole life is in your hand. You haven't got to try and rip a computer apart or whatever, or unplug it or whatever, because you want those memories. We can replace our passport, we can replace our credit cards, we can replace our driving license, but our memories in photographs, we can't. Which is why we should always have 3 backups of our pictures. Okay. Does that help, David?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? Jay?
No, no, I think that's good. Luckily, when I started many years ago, I did start in a date structure. The one thing I do is that if I was away for, let's say I went to the mountains for the weekend, I'll have a lot of images on the card and I use the date of the last image.
Mhm.
So I've been thinking, should I store them each day or just for that week? And so far, it's been pretty good just for that week.
Mhm.
And the date I have is the last image
Mhm.
that I took. Um,
Okay. So a lot of things that I've said today in this half hour, just over, you can automate. Okay. So let me just show you very, very quick. Gonna import. Okay. Click the import. Oh, Come on. There we go. So if we come to the destination on the right-hand side of the screen here, we can move, copy, add, whatever, we won't do it on add, but move and copy to a particular location. But we can tell Classic to say, right, look at my chip, import with metadata, etc., but put them into folders of the date and time, for example. So we can select the format of the date and a date that we want. So Classic will look at your chip for your 2-week holiday, for example, weekend on photography, or once a week when you import them, and will automatically put them into these folders when they were captured. But you might not want to do that. You might want to just put them into one folder, and we can select that. We can click put a name of a folder, so say, right, all those pictures that were taken on that SD card, CF Express card, whatever, we can say put into one folder and rename that folder. And we can do that. There are so many options. That's why I suggest that we use a date and time system, because we're used to that in life. And then when we import, so we go during import, we can put a keyword in here, just a basic keyword, perhaps location. So we import it, it goes into a folder, that date and time. We add a keyword, and then what we do is we have a smart collection on the left-hand side here. And the smart collection's got a keyword on there. Show me all the images that I've taken at Minehead Beach. So those are automatically put into that smart collection. So I have a smart collection here of all the dates. I could have, just see if I've got anything with the word cat or dog on it. Okay, there you go, cat. And I could put the keyword of cat on an image and it would automatically go in here. So I've done half my digital asset management at time of import. So going back to the start, it's about thinking where you want to go to. What's your final destination? And as somebody once said most famously, keep it simple. Don't try and overcomplicate it. Don't try and think it. We know what date and time is. Put everything date and time, and then use basic keywords and culling, rating, color labels to organize your filing system. And there we go. Anyone else? Any questions?
Well, I just want to make clear what I
Yes, Jay.
said. I actually had this, but it was before Lightroom. So I started in like 2001. And what I did is I would take my card and move it into a folder, a single folder. So one card, a single folder.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a program called Better Rename.
Yep.
And then I used Better Rename to rename the file name so it would refer to the camera. And the name of the folder was the date of the last image on the card.
Mm-hmm.
And then that folder was on my hard drive. And then when Lightroom came around, I would then copy that, add that folder
Yep.
to Lightroom.
To the
So
Classic.
so that's how I have my structure by date and time.
Yeah.
And I would do it differently if I started importing after Lightroom, but I started before Lightroom, so I didn't have that advantage of importing. But it's been very, I mean, I can really back up how important it was to have done it by time, because I can always find the images I'm looking for, because time is, you're right, time is how how I record
Mo
things
yeah,
in my
most of us
head.
think about time.
Yeah,
We
right,
knew we went to Italy, so it's
right,
Italy, and we went in March 2023. Those are the two
right,
common identifiers. So you've
right.
got Italy as a narrative. You're going to keyword the image as that, or if you've got a camera that's got GPS tagging, all our smartphones has got GPS tagging if you switch it on, all built in. So you just zoom in on the map and say, show me. And if you've got address lookup in Classic, it takes the GPS data and will put the address in your EXIF data. So you don't even have to do any of this. So you just say,
Right.
show me all the pictures that were taken in March in Italy. And it will come back with all that information wherever they are in your catalogue. Remember, Classic does not store your photographs. It links to where they're stored on your drives, which is another reason why I say put them all on one drive. Make sure you back up the drive, whether it's to a cloud-based service or to a second drive.
Oh, I do have a question.
Hmm.
When your pictures from the phone come in, they
Hmm.
go into their own section of the catalog,
Correct.
but they have this crazy Apple name on them.
Hmm.
So, do you, I've just been leaving them that way.
Hmm.
So they're not organized by date and time when you look at that, but you can
You
use a smart search to get at it. So
okay?
do I just leave that phone folders, those crazy,
Mhm.
2 dozen lettered names of the folder?
So I go to the folder structure. There is my cloud folder from my smartphone, and I have it set up so it goes to a date and time. I'm mirroring my camera importing to my phone. How you do that is you go to your preferences and you go to Lightroom Sync and you select here by your location. So that's where it is on the drive. So it's going here. And then you say use a subfolder captured by date. So there is the same drop down that you saw in the import dialog. So it goes into the same folder. So the folder structure is the same. Now to rename, because you're just talking about the, let's go to camera. Let's see if we've got anything unknown. So we've got, there's nothing from phone there. No, they're all camera shots. But what we can do is we can rename the image. So this is an image. We come to rename and we use a renaming template. So I've got one here, my renaming. It's got no underscore here. There's different renamings here. The original file name, can put in custom, do whatever you want to do. So you can rename the image using this. So you would select a G, select those two images, file, rename, select the preset. So we do that, and then it will rename those quickly. And you can see it had cat. Now it's got this bit in the beginning, which is my initials, date, and time. It's taken that from the EXIF data. Okay.
Now, will your preferences do that to pictures you've already imported?
If they are in the cloud, it'll ask you if you want to move them, if you change that destination. Um, if they are on your main folder, you will have to move them.
Okay.
So what I did when I first had that problem, whether I would do this now today, I don't know. I'd have to rethink about it. Is what I did was I re-imported the images into a new file structure. I turned off the duplicates. So what I did was I went import, select the locations. So I selected all the folders, and I added all photographs and unticked the duplicates. So it went and looked at all my pictures that were already in Classic. It copied them, didn't move them, it copied them and put them into the new date and time date structure. The old location, I went back and I deleted them all. And because Lightroom is looking at the date and time, it copied them and put them into the new structure.
So you did a copy
Yeah,
essentially from the
yeah,
old to the new.
yeah.
So you did a copy and into the new structure and then deleted the old structure.
Correct. But making sure that
Yeah,
the parent folders are totally different. You could do it on different drives. Take it all from this drive and put it on this drive.
right.
So that's
Right.
what I did. It worked for me. Whether I would do that today, not quite sure, but I probably would. I'd have to think about it a bit more. Yeah, that was several years ago.
Or just rest on smart search to,
Smart, if you start thinking about asking classic questions, when did I take that? Where did I take that? Did it have a keyword? Does it, if you use flags, picking and rejecting, what pictures I want to find some pictures of X narrative. Have I culled them? Haven't I culled them? Have they got keywords on them? Haven't they got keywords on them? Where they were taken. These are all questions you can keep asking Classic, and it comes back with the answers. You know, you sit there and go, "Oh, I'd like to, have a look at some of the pictures that I took in Paris on my last trip." So,
how would you restrict the smart search just for your phone images that are in this crazy
mhm.
filing system?
Yeah, you can actually tell it the camera that you want it to use. You can
Uh,
either do that by the Smart Collection. So if we go to Collections, so I can, that's the one I just made. Let's go there, no keywords. I can select under metadata, the camera. So these are all the cameras. So these are the ones in this collection, this Smart Collection that were taken with this camera. That's a Canon. There's a Fuji. So I can do it like that. Or
and
I
is
could,
your mobile camera in there?
yeah, every camera's in there.
Right.
Okay. Or I could add a rule. So if I go plus and I come down, camera info, camera, and then you type in the camera that you're looking for. Okay. So and it's got to be 100% precise. So Canon, and that's the capitals and everything. EOS 40 capital D. So show me all the pictures that have got no keywords that were taken with a Canon EOS 40D. Now, if I typed it exactly right, 40D, there you go.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can add that. All right, really, really
Yeah.
powerful, really, really powerful. So putting your files into a folder structure, date and time, because we already customized for date and time. We're already natured in that philosophy, and then using collections to find smart collections, share normal collections, share yourself across devices, putting together projects, and then using the attributes. We're going to look at attributes, I believe, next week. Using attributes to flags, that's cull. So picking and rejecting the images. Do you like them? Don't you like them? Using color labels for a workflow or perhaps for cataloging them. Using stars to another piece of information. Okay. Using keywords. And there's no right or wrong way. It's what you want to do. So working out a workflow where you want to get to. Because all of us will have different needs with our images, whether we're a commercial photographer, whether we're a stock photographer, whether we just take pictures for ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. I hope that's helped you. That's given you something to think about. It's not me telling you what to do, but just to think about. And hopefully I'll see everybody that comes on a Monday night. On Monday, if not next Wednesday. I think it's attributes we're looking at. Have a great evening. Take care, everybody. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.